Hello, my tarot friends. Today I am going to create a video that is a VR to Sarah from Tangi Tarot. And this video is about the months that I have to purchase tarot decks. She created a video that was very similar to that. She basically talked about reasons why she doesn't buy certain decks. I will do a similar thing, maybe just a spin on it in a way that I talk about things that I do want in a deck and also things that I don't want in a deck. So I'm going to put both perspectives on it. And let's just start because I have 14 points to go through. My first point is the next deck that I'm going to get, which is going to be, by the way, in 2025, or maybe a deck that is going to be as a gift, because I'm doing a no-buy for 2024 for those who haven't seen my previous video. But yes, so the first demand that I have for buying a new deck is that this deck needs to be unique to my tarot family. So that means that it needs to bring a special energy, something new that I don't have yet. So let's say if I have a deck that is, let's say, an oracle deck that is based on flowers, like this one. This is a Soulflower Soulflower Spirit Oracle deck. I'm not gonna get a deck, for example, that is similar to this one. That is plants and flowers that are what is it called, watercolor painted, because I have this one and I use this one a lot and I love this one. In my previous video I actually talked about how much I love this deck and that I basically pair it with any deck that I have. So yeah, for example, that I have, though, for example, this is a flowers, right, flowers and plants oracle deck. I have a deck that is also a herbal deck. This is the Herbal Astrology Oracle. But this one, as you can see, brings a totally different vibe to the table. Like, it is still based, like the knowledge is about the herbs and plants and stuff. But it connects it to the astrology and tarot, actually. And also the way that it's painted is so different. So to me, even though they're both plant-based decks, they bring a very different energy to the table, if you know what I mean. My second point is I will wait at least 3 days between wanting to buy a deck, to find a deck that I like and wanting to buy it, and then actually purchasing it. Because in those 3 days, I have enough time to think about all these points that I'm going to talk about today. And then really decide, do I really need it, want it, or not? My third point is I am not going to buy any more out-of-print decks. Let's just look through some cards whilst we do that. No, actually, let's go for this one. This is Landscape Tarot, and it's like you can see, it's landscapes, and it also has animals in each card, 1 animal or 2, and it's very specific. But yes, out of print decks, because why? Very simply put, they are very expensive, and there are alternatives out there. And Lisa Papez actually talks about this in one of her videos. She gives alternatives for the decks that are, I think, out of print or just very expensive. I will link that in the description box below. But yes, I will not do that unless there is like a person that, like, they say, oh, I really want to get you out of print deck for your birthday or Christmas or whatever. Then that's a different story. But when it comes to purchasing it myself, I will not do that, although it is very tempting when you go on Etsy and you search for things like that, and it makes you feel special, I suppose. You know, that's I don't know, energy that arises. I suppose it's ego, you know, when you look at the decks that are out of print and you're like, oh, I'm gonna be, you know, having something that not everyone has. But then, like I said, I think it's an ego thing. Just a disclaimer I wanted to say, this is all my personal opinions. Whatever I'm talking about, take whatever resonates with you. You can disagree with me, feel free. Write in the comments below what your thoughts are on what demands do you have for purchasing different decks. But yeah, so that was point number 3. Let's move to point number 4, which is the decks that I get, I want them to be expressive and emotive. So I feel like there are lots of decks out there that are, this is my newest edition, as you can see, it's still in order. So there are a lot of decks out there that are just like, I don't know, they either don't have faces, like people don't have faces, or they're just very, I don't know, I would call them boring, but some people might disagree. So I want decks that are emotive, that bring emotions inside of me. Also, PS, you can hear the wind in the background. I do apologize. It's a very windy day in London. Very expressive day for the universe. Anyway, sorry. So I want decks that are expressive, that trigger that emotion response within me. They're not just pretty, you know, because there are decks out there that are just pretty and they don't do anything for me. For example, an example for that is the Modern Witch Tarot. That doesn't do anything to me. It is cool, it is diverse, there are many good things about it, but it just doesn't do anything to me. It doesn't trigger anything. Like, I try to use it, but I just can't. So that's an example. So yeah, that was point number 4. I was showing this deck because it's very expressive. People have really intense emotions on their faces. The next point is number 5. I will not buy new decks before I spend time with the decks that I already have. You know, so I don't want to be having beautiful decks just sitting on the shelves, lonely, waiting for me to use them. You know, if I have decks, I should be using them. So right now, for example, I have many decks that I love, but I just don't use because I was always on that hunt for the next best thing, the next new deck, you know, the next exciting deck. And for example, this is one of the decks that I love and I have not been using enough at all. This is the Row of Divine. I forgot the name for some reason. And I love it because it's on a linen cardstock as well, which is something that I love. Which actually, wow, I just got another point in my head was talking about it that I didn't think about, which I will add at the very end. But yeah, for example, this deck is just absolutely gorgeous. It's diverse. It's everything. It ticks all the boxes for me. Maybe the art style is not my favorite art style, but still triggers this, I don't know, it reminds me of the cartoons like the Powerpuff Girls, you know, Mojo Jojo, oh my god, I forgot his name, you know, the monkey thingy. Mojo Jojo, yeah, that's what it was. You know, and yeah, it just does, it evokes emotion in me. So yeah, that was point number 5. Let's go to point number 6. I will not buy decks that are not inclusive. And I feel this is something that in the old decks was a big problem. Like there was very rarely in the old decks from the 90s and before, or even noughties, you know, or even 10s that were inclusive. I'm showing you the Herbcrafter tarot, and even though we only have hands in this deck, right, you will see that there is inclusivity in it. Let me just find a few court cards. You have old hands, you have young hands, you have hands that belong to different cultures. Right, well, let me find, there we go. You know, and the only thing that this deck lacks is the the gender diversity, but to be honest, I don't know, it kind of fits that it's women. It has that sacred feminine energy about it. I think this is my only deck that has this sacred feminine energy. See, you even have tattoos. Like, it's like, you know, if you watch this channel, you will know that this is my favorite tarot of all time. So yes, let's move on. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say. Yeah, so inclusivity, right? For example, I love the Druidcraft tarot. I absolutely love it, and it is not inclusive, but I feel there are some decks that they have a reason to not be inclusive. Sorry about the nakedness. I will put you know, a thing before this video so people are aware that there will be some nakedness. Nudity. Sorry, so it has a reason. Like, this is based in England, in the UK, and it's based in England in a specific time, you know, and it reflects the people of that time in the UK. So at the beginning I was like, oh man, I really love this, but there's no inclusivity. But then, you know, I researched it a little bit more, and that then is a good reason to not have peoples from all around the world, or from, you know, so just different aspects of inclusivity. You do have like different body types and stuff, which is great, and you have really good balance between masculine and feminine in this deck, which I love. This is one of the best decks of all time, in my opinion, as well. But like with Wildwood tarot, same thing, right? It is based in the same times, basically. And yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Whoops. What was that? 9 of Vessels. That's nice. Cards to fall out like that. But yeah, oh, I love this deck as well. Not used it enough yet, but it is a deck that one needs to study, so I am excited to have the time to study this, properly study it. I started studying it, but I want to study more. So that was the inclusivity point. Right, the next point is point number 7, and that is buying decks just because other YouTubers or other people that I follow on YouTube bought it because I like their channels and I like their taste or whatever. And I don't really have decks like that. The only deck that would be is the Lightseers tarot. But this one as well is really popular lately, so I can just show this one again a little bit. But yeah, a lot of the time I see a YouTuber going through a deck and I'm like, oh my god, they love them, so I like their taste in the tarot deck, so I will probably like this deck. Like, the probably part is not good enough. Like I said, it needs to tick all the boxes that I'm talking about today before I get it, and I am not going to be buying decks that are favorites of the people that I follow on YouTube. Just because, well, one of the reasons, the only reason being that, sorry. The next one is the decks that would pair well together. So, for example, yeah, these two could go well together, right? This one and this one, but I showed this pairing before on my channel. But yeah, so although these two go together really well, that is not the reason why I got the Soulflower Spirit Oracle. The reason is because I researched it properly. I wanted the art to be good and I wanted it to be deep, and it is. But yeah, so pairing for me is not good enough reason to buy a new deck just because it will pair well with another deck. I want the deck that I get to be, you know, in the central attention, like the 6 of Wands. You know, I want it to have its own spot, not just be a second to the one that is in the spot, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's another reason. Right, the next is buying decks that I wouldn't use for myself. So I already didn't really do that. But yeah, buying decks that I see they're cool and I think, oh, people are gonna love this, so I will buy this to read for people. Although it doesn't really jam with me personally, I think others are gonna like it. That's not a reason to buy a deck, in my opinion. So I wasn't really doing that, apart from maybe Light Seers, which I then learned to love anyway. But yeah, I only will buy decks that vibe with me first, because if they can vibe with me, then when I'm reading for others, they're gonna vibe with them, because ultimately I need to be connected to the deck in order to connect to the divine, in order to give a good accurate reading. So I am showing you the 5 elements Chinese oracle deck. Is it the Chinese 5 element oracle deck? I love this deck so much. It is wow, and it brought so much newness into my tarot family. Like, I have nothing like this in my tarot family. I have nothing like this. It is absolutely amazing. I love the art. I love the theory behind it. It is very deep. The booklet is super comprehensive. Amazing. I really highly suggest this deck if you want to learn about the Chinese zodiac signs and their system and everything. The next point is seasonal decks. I don't really have seasonal decks. Like, literally, I do not have any Christmas type of decks. I don't have Halloween decks. I don't know. They just don't do it for me. But then, similarly, let's connect this to another point, which is point number 11. Special type of readings. They're not seasonal. Like, for example, love reading, ancestral reading, goddess within us reading, or deities to connect to type of reading. That type of decks I love. So, but I don't have decks with the same theme. Like, I don't have 2 decks that are goddess and gods and stuff related. I don't. So this is my only deck that is related to gods, goddesses, and guardians. It's called I think it's goddesses, gods, and guardians. Yeah, goddesses, gods, and guardians. It's absolutely stunning. It is diverse. It has these deities from all around the world. It's absolutely amazing. And this is my only deck that is that it has the theme of gods and goddesses. And I saw some from Kyle Gray, and I was like, oh my god, they look so pretty. And I'm like, no, I have this one. I do not need another one, because then I will gravitate towards one and the other one is just gonna be sitting on the shelf. And I love this one, so I don't need another one. So yeah. This was point number 11. Sorry, 11. Point number 12. Not buying decks that are cute. And I will link a few decks on the screen here that I thought were cute, and I almost got them, and then I thankfully decided not to, because yeah, they're cute, but they don't evoke any emotion apart from, oh, they're cute. That's not good enough. Cool, they're cute, but if they don't do anything for my soul, then I'm not gonna use them, and they're not gonna bring any depth into the reading. They're just gonna be, I'm just gonna be thinking about Rider-Waite-Smith meanings and then connect it to it like that. That's not a point for me personally. Next point is point number 13, and that is I love, it's my thing, decks that are deep, that are layered, that have enormous amount of knowledge in them, and theories and metaphysical stuff. So this is, for example, the Tarot of Spirit, one of my favorites of all time as well, because it is so layered, because it's a deck that I will study probably my whole life, to be honest with you, because it's just so detailed, and the paintings are just gorgeous. Like, she is a fine art painter, her mom, what's her name? So the creator is Pamela, and the mom is Joyce, I think. Eakins or Akins. I'm still not sure how to pronounce their surnames. I should Google that. But yeah, not only it is so pleasing to the eye, and it evokes my, like when I look at these cards, it evokes my third eye and it evokes my crown chakra. Like they open up and I feel connected. And that is something that I love, and it's kind of like a must for me in the deck. If it doesn't evoke my third eye and my intuition and my just what is it called? Not clairvoyance. Is it clairvoyance when you see things? Yeah, if that's not evoked, then I'm like, it's alright. But I want the deck to be more than alright, you know. So yeah, this for example is one of them type of decks that are deep and layered, and Thoth would also be one of them decks that you can study for life, because it is very similarly complex to the Tarot Spirit. There are many books written about this. You even have, you know, Crowley wrote a book about this. Is it Crowley or Crowley? No, Crowley, right? So that's another deck that I can't wait to study in depth. I got myself a book, and it actually comes with a pretty comprehensive little white book as well, which I was very surprised. I did get the big green, I'll put a picture here, the big green box one, so I trimmed it, and I really bonded trimming it as well. But yeah, it's like I'm looking at the pictures, and even though I have not studied it much yet, it evokes emotions, it evokes thoughts. My intuition just starts flowing. I'm connecting the dots with all the knowledge that I have about, you know, the esoteric things. So yeah, let's go to the next point, which is point number 14. So I think I have enough of Rider-Waite-Smith clones. This is the Pagan Cat Tarot, and as you can see, it's super duper Rider-Waite-Smith cloney. But it adds that little edge to it. I love cats, so I love this deck. But yeah, it is a clone. Like, you have the same scene, just using cats, right? And I have the universal Rider-Waite Tarot. I have this one. I have, what else that is a clone? I feel like I have another one that I just, oh yes, I have the Wiser Tarot as well. I have this one, and technically the Druidcraft kind of, I suppose it's more based on Rider-Waite-Smith. But yeah, I have enough of that, because if I'm gonna if I'm gonna have that wish to read with the Rider-Waite-Smith, I don't want to have like 10 decks to choose from. It's enough. Like, this one is more quirky, and if I want a more serious type of reading, I'll just go for the Wiser Tarot. Why Wiser, not universal? Because the Wiser Tarot is diverse-ish. It's not proper diverse, I'm gonna say, but it's diverse-ish. I suppose they did the best job that they could. I don't know. I was actually checking another tarot that I forgot the name for. I'm gonna put a picture here. That is also a clone, but it's proper diverse. So maybe in the future, maybe in the very far future, if I feel that I'm just fed up with my universal and the Wiser Tarot, I will then get rid of one of them, because or maybe just both of them, because I don't need many Rider-Waite-Smith, that many anyway. Anyways, yeah, so this was the Pagan Cats Tarot. Oh, sorry, Tarot of Pagan Cats. Oh my goodness, the wind. It's very spooky. And that gets me to the last point, which was actually, which came to my head whilst I was talking about one of the first points, and that is cardstock. So the cardstock is a big one as well. Like, the decks that I have here on the table, I love the cardstock, right? Most of them. But for example, this one, the Margarete Petersen Tarot, which is absolutely amazing. I love this. It has a very thin cardstock. I mean, I don't know. It It is super thin. I prefer cardstocks that are a little bit thicker, just because it feels they're gonna last longer. They just feel like I don't have to walk on shelves when I use them. So this deck, for example, for my personal taste, is a bit too thin. I was watching eBay for if any of the original ones would pop up, and one of them did, but it was like £400 or something like that, and I was like, no way. It's in German as well, but the cardstock is much thicker. Like, I saw a person on YouTube comparing the original one and this 20 or 21st, I forgot which anniversary, 21-year anniversary maybe, and that one is way better quality, like way better, and I would love to have that. And if that ever happens, if someone gifts that to me in the future, I will then put this one, I will give this one away, because I don't need to, you know. I just don't need to. So yes, these were my demands for buying decks. Like I said at the beginning, I am not gonna get any new decks in 2024. That is my challenge, and I am going to stick to it, because I am quite a not stubborn person, but if I say I'm gonna do something, I do it. So I'm not gonna buy any new decks. And yeah, please write in the comments below, what are your demands when you're buying new decks, and how do you choose decks that you buy or purchase? Please feel free to use the hashtag that I used in this video and create a VR to this. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, your take on it, your demands or your considerations when you're buying new decks. And yeah, with that said, I hope I'll see you again soon, and bye bye.